really what matters to me as a user, as a consumer, is how do they resolve it? How's their customer service after the fact? I think most people are willing to forgive and forget.
This is the PMP Industry Insider Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome out to another episode of the PMP Industry Insider Podcast, where we take a look at what is changing in the pest and lawn industries, and we take it to the front lines, to those that are driving those changes. As always, I'm Donnie, Shelton, owner of Triangle Home Services, which has Triangle Pest and Triangle Lawn, my most two favorite triangles, I may add to that. And with me, fresh from the beach or Florida, he is looking pretty tanned, but Mr. Dan Gordon. Dan, would you like to say good morning? We are recording this in the morning. Introduce our very special guest, our topic, and let's not forget our sponsors. So,
yes, sir. In that order. We're not necessarily. Good morning, Dan Gordon, PCO Bookkeepers, M&A specialists. We do CFO work for the pest and lawn industry as well as exit planning. And let's see. Our sponsors. So if you are interested in marketing services, please visit Coalmarch, coalmarch.com for marketing services, not just digital, we were told. And if you're interested in pest control insurance, that would be pestsure.com. That's for workers' comp, general liability, auto, EPLI, and others. And let's see, what did I miss? If you want to join a peer group, which is really, they're taking off, and I think we got 4 or 5 of them now. If you're interested in that, go back to episode 136, where we interview David Billingsley, who is our peer group facilitator and is doing a fantastic job. You can learn about that or shoot us an email. And today, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think now
okay,
is the
good.
topic and our guest. We're good to go.
Okay.
Yes.
So the topic, so Donnie prepared these notes and they're all out of order. Marisa usually does them. So today we are going to talk about review generation and its impact on growth. And we have a special guest, Christin Nein, Senior Director of Product Development at Coalmarch by Workwave. Christin is the Senior Director of Product Development for Coalmarch and the leader of Coalmarch's digital marketing products platform. Her team is dedicated to building technology that optimizes their customers' digital marketing strategy and performance data analysis. Having hands-on experience working with business owners in the marketing and sales operations, Christin has led digital marketing strategies, consulted on call center operations, and guess what? She is passionate about how business in this industry can use technology to drive innovation and keep Coalmarch customers on top. Anyway, so that very impromptu opening that I didn't read at all.
I've never heard it read out loud before. It's a little long.
Sounded pretty. You sound pretty impressive, don't you?
There is one more. There is one more needs to get added.
Okay.
Is that she has the unique ability to work with crazy. I have worked with Christin for many years, and she put up with my crazy. So I have quite a bit of experience. No, she's super sharp. Very excited to have you on the podcast, Christin.
Yes, thank you all for having me. Very excited to be here.
All right. So what we really want to talk about today, and Donnie and I actually did an episode a few shows back on Google reviews and whatnot. And so our first question, which you prepped us for, was, why are reviews important and why must they be on Google? Because it's a great question and I'd love to know the answer.
Yes, I feel like review generation is something that has been talked about in the industry for like decades. It's something that everybody knows they need to do, but it's all consistently something that we talk to our customers about, and it's something that people struggle with. So we're going to continue the conversation until every business we work with has a very strong review gen program. The reason we push this so hard, there's 2 main reasons and then a tertiary reason why review generation is so important for our customers' businesses. The first off is kind of the obvious one. It's the social proof. So it's almost the equivalency today of having a referral program in place where people can refer their neighbors and people that they know to your business. People really trust the reviews that they see online. So having a really strong review profile on Google is just a great way to enhance the performance of your marketing by having that online referral type piece in place. Just some stats on that: 98% of consumers look at online reviews in general when they're looking to make a purchase. So almost every single person is looking at some sort of online review, and 50% of people report that they trust Google business reviews as much as they would a personal referral from a neighbor or somebody else. So these can have a really big impact on what people are deciding to do. So if you're running marketing, if you're paying for ads, this is a way to improve the conversion of those ads and get more bang for your buck. So the social proof aspect is so important. But then as marketers, we always highlight this for our customers as well, because it really helps with visibility. As we mentioned, you need to have your reviews on Google. 87% of people are searching with Google versus other search engines. So it's the best platform to have your reviews on. And it also contributes as a ranking factor for Google. So it will help with both your SEO, your organic listings for you to show up in the review platform. But then if you're running ads as well, this also helps your ads appear more often and more at the top compared to other ads. So it allows you to get more visibility without having to spend more money on those ads to get that visibility. So we always encourage that. It really helps your cost per lead when you're running ads like that. So those are the two main reasons. And then I also like a little tertiary reason of recruiting. So when people are looking to see what kind of business you are, if they want to work for you, this is a great way to show what kind of business you are. If you're a top tier business with high star ratings, people are going to be more likely to want to work for you as a business versus your competitor. So think of it also as a recruiting tool as well, just to show who you are and show that you are good quality.
Okay, where do you want to start? I've got lots of questions to get into this.
Oh, Lord.
I have a few myself, so go ahead.
Okay, so so the first things first. So everyone obviously knows, I should say not everyone, I think most, and let's go, I don't know, let's just pull a stat out of my butt here, but let's just say probably 95% or greater of business owners know that reviews are important. The thing that baffles me is the differences of approach, right? There's some owners who say, well, we do great service and it's tacky to ask customers for reviews. And so ones that we see on there are real reviews versus someone else who asks everyone. And so my question is, what are some good strategies that you've seen where someone has put in a program that's actually getting the volume of reviews that they need and soliciting customers to do that? Because, back in the day, we did some interesting things to try to get, it's, getting someone to review it's not easy. It's easy to do it if you F up, right? If you screw up and you really screw the customer, then it's very easy to get that review, but it is more difficult to get the positive one. So what are some things that you've seen, Christin, where folks have made some sort of operational change where they've been successful in, kind of systematizing that request? Have you seen someone do that? And if so, then what have you seen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've definitely seen people go from like 0 to 60 and have great success once they implement a review program. I think to comment on one of your points, Donnie, is getting over the stigma of asking for reviews. In today's world, we're asked for reviews every time we do literally anything in the world. We buy anything, I go get my car fixed at the dealership and they're saying, I'd love for you to leave me a review. My goal is 5 stars. And that really I will do that for this person who has been so nice to me. So I think implementing that personal touch with your technicians is a great way to just get people more engaged with leaving positive reviews. Because to your point, people are not going to naturally give positive reviews. People will go out of their way to leave a negative review if they're unhappy. But in day-to-day life, people don't really think about leaving positive reviews and taking their time to do that unless they've had truly exceptional service. I've done it a few times, but not too many. So I like to do a combination of things. I always recommend our customers do a combination of things. There's a lot of good software out there that can help you automate some kind of texting system. We don't recommend doing any kind of bulk email to all of your customers all at once, and then suddenly you have 100 new reviews on your platform. Google's going to figure that out right away, that that's fake and solicited, and knock that out. So doing some kind of scattered text program. There's a lot of good software out there that sometimes you can even connect with your CRMs, and they can automate texts or emails after service. So right after service, when your customers are really happy, sending them a text, very personalized message. You can often input like customer names and what service they received into these automated text messages. So we would love if you could leave us a review. That's one easy way to do it. If you don't want to pay for a software to do it, getting a program in place for your technicians to solicit these reviews while they're servicing homes is the next best thing. And I get a lot of customers that are saying, well, I can't get my technicians to do that. Like I've tried doing this before and they just won't do it, or I can't consistently get reviews. If you put some kind of incentive in place for your technicians and really explain the why this is important to the business and how this is going to help them, I guarantee you they'll be more on board than if you just say, hey, go do this. I need you to do this.
So you're not allowed to incentivize the customer, right? Google frowns upon that and will ding you if they figure out that you're doing that. But how about incentivizing your employees? Can I give a technician $5, $10, $20?
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
no
Because
problem.
you're incentivizing them to request the review. You're not incentivizing them to leave a review. So that's a nice little nuance that there's there's a little caveat there that you can use. So yeah, incentivizing your technicians and your CSRs on the phone as well. If your technicians don't necessarily talk to your customers directly, CSRs are a good way to do this as well. But yeah, you can incentivize them, give them gift cards, have a competition, and set goals for them. So when they achieve a certain number of reviews, they can see the benefits. So then it becomes almost like a game. Oh, I'm racing against my other technicians to get the most reviews, or to get this gift card. I've seen some companies even put in a tip your tech program, where they will promote to their customers that if they leave a review online and leaving the technician's name as part of the review, then their technician will get an added benefit. So it incentivizes the reviewer to leave a review so that their technician can get a little bonus. And I think people can get on board with that as well. So there's a lot of different avenues, but the combination of technology and your people is a good mix of it.
So I have a question on companies with multiple branches, or these quote unquote Google offices, how do you get each of those branch offices to get different reviews? And is that important, or is it important just to, as a company as a whole, just really, collecting all the reviews?
Yeah, so if I was just talking about humans, I would probably say it's just important for the company to get the reviews. But when you're looking at its impact on your digital marketing performance, you really need the reviews on each location. So each location of your business is going to have a different Google business profile based on your location. And then you're going to need to generate reviews for each of those locations to, again, assist with your ad rankings and your organic listings. So really, in that case, you need to generate them in all locations.
So let's talk about doing that though. So if that, I'm assuming, is that technician sending out different links? Is that like, what does that potentially look like? Because I mean, Dan's correct. I mean, so there's this idea that, okay, Google has not figured out this idea that if I'm not in the central part of the city, then obviously I'm not a good provider for that city. But that's a whole nother Oprah that we can do another time. But so there's this idea that, okay, well, I'm going to have multiple locations, and because of these multiple locations, so I can get better search rankings. And then after that, I have to build up these listings. What's the strategy for building those listings up? Is it just like, hey, this month we're going to focus on this listing? Is it like we split it out throughout the month? Like any thoughts there?
I would honestly say keep it consistent across all branches. And just like you said, there's going to be a different link for each Google business profile to leave the reviews. So I would divide up your market and determine, okay, the areas in these locations will get this link, the areas in these locations will get this link. So you see like a continuous rise in reviews across the board. One thing you want to kind of avoid is, oh, it's been 12 months since I've seen a review on this profile. If it's been that long because you kind of stopped generating, that kind of lessens the impact of it from a referral standpoint. If you see that huge gap or you see like a huge burst of reviews and then it kind of dies down, it just doesn't look as authentic. So like consistency is really the key for having that impact that you're looking for.
Okay, I have more. So
go for it.
Any thoughts on, like, I'm just wondering the day when Google releases Gemini so that it's starting to look at reviews and it's starting to look at, I mean, I know right now it technically doesn't, but where it's looking at volume and it's looking at what's being said. And then I just feel like it's going to be even more important. So having said that, how many, like, what do you think stronger? 2,000 ratings at 4.9 or 100 ratings at 5.0?
This is such this is such a good question, but it's a complex one. I would say, first of all, it depends what your competitors have. You always need to look at what your competitors are doing. If they have a 5.0, then you need to shoot for a 5.0. If they have 2,000 reviews, then you need to shoot for 2,000 reviews. That being said, I think that a 5.0 star rating looks a lot less authentic than a 4.9. So having some of those negative reviews, a lot of people freak out about the negative reviews that come in. It's like, that's okay. Like consumers know that no company is perfect and that you will have issues from time to time with people leaving bad reviews. A 4.9 looks much more authentic. And then it's more of a matter of, okay, how did you respond to that negative review? Did you respond to it, give them attention, attempt to fix it? Were you professional in how you responded? Were you prompt in how you responded?
Let me pause you there real quick.
Yeah.
For our listeners, by the way, just use ChatGPT to respond. Like, legitimately, because sometimes people get offended. I mean, sometimes people get offended and they go into victim mode, and it almost like you'd been better off not to respond at all. Like, I've looked at some responses and I'm like, wow. Like, just go to ChatGPT and say, please, formulate a response, make it respectful, make it friendly, make it kind, and then move on.
Yeah,
right. This is not. You can keep going. I just had to say that.
No, I appreciate that, because this is not the platform for trying to prove that you're right and your customer is wrong. That never ends well. So I 100% agree.
And ChatGPT spells things properly and has great grammar and makes you look. I'm sure most of our listeners, but I'm just telling you, yes. So,
we going back to why do they have to be on Google? So we had a client who had reviews on Yelp, and Yelp is kind of all over the place and difficult to figure out, but they also had their own platform on their website where they collected reviews, and it worked great for years, and then it stopped working. Is that because Google blackballed them, or is it how does, like, if I get more Yelps than Google's, or more self-generated, what how does that work? And stop laughing, Donnie.
No, I'm laughing. Look, let me tell you why I'm laughing, because I'm going to let Christin answer this question, is because, okay, so first of all, Yelp is nothing more than a bitching platform, right? Let's just be real. Second of all, I was in, and Christin probably knows this place, I was in Town Hall Burger. It's one of my favorite burger places here in Raleigh. It's called Town Hall Burger. So I'm in Town Hall Burger. I'm in Durham, and I'm ordering. And just as I'm getting ready to leave from ordering, I see a thing on the cash register that says, "Don't Yelp, ask for help. We actually want to help you." And the sign made me laugh. I almost took a picture and said, "Don't Yelp, ask for help." Like, it's like, anyway, we wanted to say
I like that.
Yes. So, Christin, back to Dan's question. Sorry. So,
Yelp. No, it's this is a question that I actually get from a lot of customers, so I'm glad you asked it. We do often get requests, not less often than we used to embed third-party review platforms within our customer's website. Like they have reviews on this third party that just kind of exists separately. It's a software they purchase and they embed it on their website. And they're like, look, great, I've got all these great reviews. People don't trust that as much as they would trust a review on Google because they have no idea what that platform is, how they regulate reviews. Maybe the customer even wrote them themselves versus having their customer write them. So it's just less trustworthy because everybody knows how much Google regulates their reviews and their systems, and you can't really cheat the system for long. So there's a trust factor with getting your reviews on Google. And Yelp is great. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having Yelp reviews. But again, if you had to choose between Yelp and Google, Google is getting much more visibility than Yelp is. Like I said, 87% of users are searching on Google. Much less of them actually click into Yelp or use Yelp than people who use Google. And if it's on Yelp, then you lose the benefit of the ranking factors for your ads and for your SEO.
But are the self-generated type ones on the website and whatnot, are they just not doing anything for you, or is Google actually dinging you and saying, well,
no, Google isn't dinging you for it. It's just not helping you any. It's almost kind of a throwaway at that point because, again, people just don't have the trust in it that they do with Google reviews.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Should we keep going? I got more.
Keep on going. We got more.
I don't like that grin on your face, Donnie.
No. So let's talk about this idea of reviews and how it's showing up in search. And have you seen people who have successfully coached customers on how to leave reviews? Like, a really good review for us is Donnie came out. We had ants. We live in Raleigh. You know what I mean? And his company is one of the best exterminators in Raleigh. I mean, they're just keyword stuff in left and right. But I mean, my question is, have you seen folks who've been able to kind of coach their customers? Like, I mean, obviously a review is a review and we want the review, the 5 stars, but you would have to agree that a 5-star rating is not as strong as a 5-star rating with comments and specific comments that are either dealing with pest or your locale or something specific. Have you seen folks who've been able to do that well?
I wouldn't say I've seen a lot of people that do it well, but I would advise that this is where the tip your tech concept could come in really handy, because you could advise on, if you leave a review with the person's name, the service you received, and the location you purchased it from, or the branch that you're associated with, we will tip your technician. So you can kind of guide them through that incentive to put certain information in the review. So I would say that's probably the best
So let's
option.
back up there. Before we said that you can't incent the customer, you can only incent the technician. So if I'm a benevolent kind of guy like Donnie and somebody comes over to my house and I want to tip them, but somebody else is willing to tip them instead, do I got benefit from it? Do I get dinged for that, or no?
No,
because you don't get benefit. What's your benefit?
My benefit is that I don't have to tip you because you did.
Well, that's not a benefit.
That's a benefit.
Oh my gosh.
A benefit.
Where do you come up with a no?
Because
so it's not a benefit.
That's
disguised. No requirement.
Disguised.
That's not a benefit.
I think Google would have to track down a lot of elements.
They would
ding you with that one. So.
Okay. But if your technician says, "Hey, listen, give me a review," and I get a $10 spiff from my boss or something, is that,
Yeah, I think that's very doable, and I think it will incentivize people because they want to do something good for somebody personally that they've met, so they're much more likely to leave that review.
So the word tip doesn't have to be in there. It's just an incentive.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, the point, though, is for the audience here is that there are good reviews. I should say there are good reviews and there are great reviews. And if you're going to pick a strategy, I would just include in your strategy a way to coach customers on how to write a review and make it so that a rating is, you're asking for a little bit more than just a 5-star rating. Obviously, the 5-star rating is what you want, and you're not going to turn that away. but kind of coach them on how to write a good review that is beneficial for your business. Because at the end of the day, if you are incentivizing your technicians and not the customer, then you want to, I mean, get your money's worth, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, if people don't know and you never actually, help them or teach them how to write a review, you're probably, who knows what you're going to get. So just be intentional about that process is the only point I'm making, is that make sure that they understand like what is a good win for you in terms of reviews. So.
Absolutely. That's such a good point.
Okay. Should we keep going?
Yes.
Why not?
All right. So just real quick, Christin, anything that you should not be doing when it comes to reviews? Like, obviously we've talked about, incentivizing your customers. That's a clear black and white, busting the rules of Google. What do they call it? I forgot what they called it. Their guidelines. What is it they call it? Anyway, you're busting like the process there. And if you get caught, they're gonna ding you. So don't do that.
Yep.
What else should you be avoiding when it comes to review generation?
Yeah, I feel like we've touched on a lot of them, but hoarding your reviews on some third-party platform is a big one. Make sure you get them on Google, whether it be they leave a review on a software and then it gets sent to Google, or you ask them to go to Google directly. Keeping them off Google is the worst thing that you can possibly do. It's practically a throwaway in your review gen campaign. And then the other one, I mentioned it briefly earlier, but just mass emailing your customers all at once. You want it to look organic and authentic. And so sending out an email to 100 customers asking for a review, maybe you get 10% of those, but if they all happen at the same time, then it's not going to look real. And both Google and users are going to know that. So doing it, I think people always ask me like, oh, well, when do I have enough reviews that I can stop doing a review generation? Or like, when am I good enough? And the answer is never. You need to have consistent, spread out reviews constantly, because again, the frequency of them and the time that you last got a review are going to influence people's decisions. So spread it out, do it as you're giving them service, make it at times when they're happy with your service. So especially for lawn care companies, like doing it in the summer when their grass looks beautiful, that's a great time to ask for reviews at the peak of when things look nice.
No. For warm season, yes. For cool season, I don't know that I agree with that. But keep going.
Yeah.
By the way, if in August your lawn doesn't look good if there's no water. So
exactly. So really time, you don't have to do it throughout the entire year, but time it and spread it out during that peak season is really preferable. So, but just ask. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, just ask and you'll get some, and that's better than what a lot of people are doing currently.
So what about responding to reviews? Let's say someone goes on and says, oh my gosh, my technician, Christin, came out and she was so amazing. Took her time, very detailed, very talkative. No, I'm just kidding. All right. And says all these amazing things about Christin. And then, and you get this nice review. Should you just kind of let that be as an owner, or should you, obviously there's the responding to negative reviews. And we talked about this earlier in this episode, and, making sure that you use good grammar, that you don't get into this, pissing match with a customer and it's not I'm right and they're wrong. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Use ChatGPT, be nice, and then move on. Let's talk about folks who are doing positive reviews. Should you respond to those? And if so, why? And if not, why?
Yeah.
And do you run out of phrases when
That's where ChatGPT comes in handy, because there's only so many different ways you can say thank you for your review. But yeah, no, we definitely recommend responding to every review that comes in if you can. I know that's easier said than done. Coalmarch will do this for you if you need somebody to kind of take over the legwork for you. But responding to all reviews, especially the positive ones, really shows that you're invested in your customers and their feedback, and that you interact with your customers, that you have that positive attitude, and just that you're engaged with what's going on with your customers. So when people see that, again, especially with negative reviews, it's all about how you handle it. It's similar with positive reviews. If they see like, oh man, these people took the time to say thank you and appreciate the 5-star review, that's going to have an impact for people.
So is that
Also,
a
it's a
Google
ranking
thing or a
factor.
customer thing? Like, does Google care if you do that, or the customer says, "Ah, this is
Yeah,
good to."
it's both. It's I definitely think there's like a personal element of it that people like to see it, but Google does look at engagement when they're looking at ranking factors as well. So the more engagement you can have on Google Business Profile, the better off you are.
Gotcha.
So we've talked about this in previous episodes, and this is not on the outline. So we're gonna have a little fun with this. Let's talk about the review hit job. Not that that would ever happen. You've got
Mhm.
someone who used to work for you. You've got a customer who is being completely unrealistic, or you have a competitor
Mhm.
that is now wanting to do a hit job on you, and they send a review that is not accurate,
Mhm.
or you know, I mean, we've had folks who have left a review and they reviewed the wrong damn company, right? I mean, it's like, and so
Yeah.
I know what to do, but I want to talk through this. So this happens, and it does happen. And if you're doing a lot of reviews, it's, someone's going to
Mhm.
review you that meant for another company, or someone's going to try to do a hit job or whatever. I don't think that's very common, but it does happen.
It
It's
does
not unheard of.
happen
Yeah.
periodically. Google doesn't
Yeah.
like it, but
Yeah. So what do you do in those cases, and what does that process look like? Can you just talk through that briefly?
yeah, so you can report those reviews to Google and you can justify, oh, this is a competitor leaving this to review, or they reviewed the wrong company, or a lot of times it's we don't even service this area, or we don't offer these services they're talking about. You can really justify to Google like why this review doesn't belong on your profile. They will review it, and hopefully they will be willing to then take it down based on that justification. So give them as much information as you're reporting it as possible. But in the meantime, I would definitely recommend commenting on it. Like, thank you for your review, but this is not a service that we offer, or I believe this is for the wrong profile.
Right.
Again, don't get into an argumentative
I,
conversation with
I
the
saw
person that left the
somebody
review.
I saw somebody say, we've checked our records and you don't exist as a
Mm-hmm.
customer.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That
Yeah.
so there's the waiting for Google, and there's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what Kristen is talking about, which is when that happens and you're aware of it, respond and make it sound like I've done that several times. Where it's like, hey, yeah, we'd really love to help you out. I'm looking for you in our customer database and I can't find you. Would you mind
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to us at blah blah blah? That way, it's just like you plant that seed. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Because it's possible Google might not take it down. They don't approve
correct.
every request. They're pretty picky about it. So the more you can do to put yourself on the good side, the better off you'll be.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it does happen, and there are people who try to be kind of nasty with guerrilla campaigns, and it never
Yeah.
ends well for them in the long
Mm.
run. So just know they'll get theirs at the end.
Right. Right.
So,
And I will say this, there are times that if a review is legit and you really did mess up, I would not try to contest it. There are times, I mean, look,
mhm,
we mess up from time to time, and I have personally at times gone on and said, look, you're absolutely correct. We did mess this up. Here's what we're doing to fix it. Really
mhm,
appreciate the feedback. We will try to be better next time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I just don't want folks to think that we're a company that, first of all, that we're perfect and we never do
mhm,
anything wrong, because that's not true. And second thing is that if something does go wrong, I actually want that to be an example of like what's going to happen if something goes wrong with this person
mhm.
that's prospectively looking at our
Do
company.
do you
Yeah.
offer them dollars off or free service or something like that? So you're
Oh, I don't know
training
that.
the other reviewers to
No, I
go
don't.
in and get a discount.
No, but I will do this. If someone just bombs us and we
Hmm.
fix it, I am
Hmm.
not afraid to be like, hey, I know that we messed this up. Would you be willing to? And if the answer is no, then no big deal. Right. I
Mhm.
definitely give them an out, but would you be willing to change your review? And if the answer is no, then okay, no big
Yeah,
deal.
it doesn't hurt to ask. I definitely encourage that if you feel like you've truly resolved their issues.
Right.
Yeah, I will say even just my own personal experience, I don't mind it when a company messes something up. Like, yes, it's unfortunate, and I it's an extra hassle, but really what matters to me as a user, as a consumer, is how do they resolve it? How's their customer service after the fact? I think most people are willing to forgive and forget, if your customer service and your follow up is strong.
Yeah.
So don't look at those negative reviews as a bad thing. Look at it as an opportunity to learn, fix something in your company that probably other customers are feeling too, and then make up and have a better resolution with the customer that was unhappy. So just use it as a learning opportunity.
Yep. I got one more thing to add, and then we got to wrap up. We're getting towards the end here, which is, and I want to hear your take on this as well, Christin. So, and Dan, of course, I always appreciate Dan's opinion. Most of the time, I will not say all the time, but most of the time. So,
was that a negative review?
That was not a negative review. That was mutual. No, not mutual. Neutral review. So, I personally, like, when I think about reviews, and I think about, okay, so we get a positive one, we get a negative one. So my question, and really, I think when someone, you were talking about reviews on Google versus reviews not on Google. I see so many owners who are so afraid to turn customers loose on Google. Like they don't have the confidence in their company to say, they want this. And by the way, I used to be this way, so I'm not like judging here. I mean, I'm not saying that. But they want this like enemy, like I want to make sure this review is going to be good, and then they can go to Google. You know what I mean? Like I want to make sure everything's good, and then I'll send them a Google link. I've just come to realize like it just doesn't work as well. And so now we take the risk. I mean, we send reviews, and we know that in some cases they're not all going to be positive. What's your take on that? Do you think that people should just be willing to be like, hey, we're going to send them all to Google, or should they put like a one step in the middle to make sure that what's going to actually gets cherry picked? Because I used to be that way. I have since changed my ways.
Wasn't there software that did that for you? Does that still exist?
There definitely is still software out there that does that. And I know
basically if you're an 8 or above, it goes to Google. The rest goes
yeah. Coalmarch actually tried to build something a while back, and we decided to sunset that. But yeah, that definitely used to be a big strategy of having that. Ask them internally how they feel first, and then send them to Google to leave the review. What you have to remember is people are super lazy, and they're doing you a favor. So asking them to do one thing and then go to another platform and do the same thing again is really going to hit your ability to get more online reviews. So
without an incentive. Yes.
Yes, without an incentive. So what I would recommend in place of that is, if you're nervous about launching a review gen campaign, start by doing some surveys of your customers internally first. Send some surveys out, get a feel for how do your customers feel about you if you don't know already. I know a lot of companies have some kind of feedback process in place for customers already. But if you truly don't know, do my customers like us as their service provider or not? Just start by doing some internal surveys, take some feedback, figure out how you can get your house in order a little bit better. And then once you feel like you have plugged all the holes and kind of figured out where your main issues are and resolved them, then go to Google and start doing a review gen campaign. If you're scared to have people leave you reviews, there's probably a reason, and there's probably some things you need to fix internally first. Right. Either that, or you just need to kind of see what happens. But yeah, doing some internal reflection is probably the best first step there.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's the old adage, right? You can't put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. So if you got operational issues, get those resolved. And I know that's easier said than done, but the reality of it is that if you truly feel that way, you're probably right. And if that's the case, fix the problem, but don't. I would not delay getting a review out to Google. If you are ready as a business and you can operationally follow through, and realize that doesn't mean that you're perfect, right? It doesn't mean that at all. So, all righty, Dan, anything to add before we finish out here?
No, I think it's very interesting. I think it is, Google is getting more and more expensive. All digital is getting more and more expensive, and any advantage that you can get, to lower that cost of acquisition is going to be good for your business. So
I may add, they're also not only getting more expensive, they're also getting way more sophisticated. So this idea of manipulation, it's very difficult these days. You got to be the real
rather deal. Than gaming the system, just play the game.
Yeah, be the real deal. Yeah,
exactly. Sure. Yeah, Google always finds out.
They do. They do. Anything to add, Christin, before we finish out here?
I do want to mention that you can get, Coalmarch has released a playbook for how to initiate review generation campaigns for your business. We've got templates and kind of a starter pack for what you need to get this started for your business. So feel free to reference that. It's on the Coalmarch website in our resources section under the blog.
Perfect.
Oh, nice.
And we'll link it up on our podcast website as well. So, and that's a great lead into our next point, which is just a reminder that all the resources and topics that we talked about today, including this little pack about reviews, will be available on our podcast website, pmpindustryinsider.com. Just take a look under show notes. And as always, we do appreciate a positive review. We will not cherry pick. And if you want to go out and assail us, that's fine too. But we do ask before you do that you call Dan and complain and give him all the tea. And with that, we're going to send out Christin. Awesome to have you. Thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for giving us your thoughts on reviews and helping us get better there. Dan, I will see you next time. You all take care.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you. Have a good day.